The sky above Earth's border station was quiet. Too quiet. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, everyone's eyes were on one human, Commander Jace Marin. He stood straight, his hands behind his back, while dozens of alien leaders sat around, him in silence. Then, laughter echoed from the far side of the room. "She will be his gift," one alien lord said, smirking. "Let the human deal with her." Across the hall, a tall, beautiful green-skinned alien woman stood, her silver hair flowing like silk, her eyes full of quiet rage. Her name was Virella, daughter of a noble house from the Zenthari Empire. "She's perfect," another alien sneered. "Let's see how long the human can survive her temper." The council burst into laughter. It was a joke, a public insult. To them, sending Virella to the human as a bride wasn't an act of peace, it was punishment. Jace didn't blink. He simply said, "I accept." That made the room go silent. No protest, no anger, just a calm voice. And a confident stare. Virella walked toward him, her steps sharp. She stood before the human, expecting him to say something crude, or back down. But he didn't. He simply said, "Welcome aboard, Ambassador." Her eyes narrowed. She didn't reply. But something flickered. Back on the human ship, the situation was tense. Virella refused to speak. She stayed in her quarters. She didn't eat with the crew. She didn't look at Jace. He didn't force her. He treated her with quiet respect. She hated it. She wanted him to break, to show weakness. That would make it easier. But every time she tested him with harsh words or cold silence, he stayed calm. Then came the accident. A meteor storm hit the ship without warning. Alarms rang, lights flashed, systems failed. Virella was trapped behind a sealed door. Fire was spreading. Smoke filled the corridor. She screamed. But Jace came. He tore open the emergency panel, unlocked the door, and carried her out through the fire. He didn't hesitate, didn't panic. He burned his shoulder but didn't let go. When they reached safety, he set her down gently. "You okay?" he asked, coughing through smoke. She stared at him, stunned. "You saved me." He smiled weakly. "That's what partners do." She had no answer. That night, she stood at his door. For the first time, she asked, "Why didn't you let me burn?" Jace looked at her, confused. "Because no one deserves to be used like a joke." She didn't speak again. But her heart was no longer cold. 3 weeks later, something strange happened. She fainted. The human medics ran tests. She woke up, hours later, surrounded by quiet faces. And then she heard the words that changed everything. "You're pregnant," the doctor said. Silence. She looked at Jace. He looked at her. No one said anything. But everything had changed. Her people sent her as a joke. But she returned with something real. Now the Zenthari Empire wants answers. And Virella, she's not laughing anymore, because she doesn't want revenge. She wants to protect her child. Virella stared out the window of the human ship. Stars floated in silence, but her heart was full of noise. She was pregnant, with a human's child. Her hands touched her belly as if it might disappear. But the heartbeat was real. The medics had shown her. Still, she didn't understand how this happened. It had only been one night. A night she never planned. A night full of confusion, anger, and something she didn't want to name. It wasn't supposed to mean anything, but now it meant everything. Commander Jace Marin entered quietly. "You haven't spoken in 2 days," he said. She turned slowly. Her eyes were calm, but guarded. "Why? Didn't you tell them yet?" she asked. He paused. "Because it's your choice, not mine." "No," she said. "It's our choice now." Jace nodded. He didn't smile. He didn't joke, and that made her trust him even more. But peace didn't last. The message came 3 hours later. Straight from the Zenthari Empire. A cold voice echoed from the ship's main screen. Return Virella immediately. And bring the child. It belongs to the Empire. Jace stepped forward. She's not your property. She was a gift, the alien voice replied. She's a person, and she chooses where she belongs. The signal ended. The room went silent. Virella's face turned pale. They will not ask twice, she whispered. They will come. With ships. Later that night, Virella sat in her room alone. Her hands shook. Not because she was afraid of battle, but because she didn't know what she wanted anymore. She had trained her whole life to serve the Empire. She had obeyed every command, but now, for the first time, she was thinking about herself, and her child, and the man who stood beside her without asking for anything. Suddenly, the ship shook. Alarm screamed. Jace's voice came over the speaker. Battle alert! Xanthari scout ships approaching. Virella ran to the control deck. When she arrived, Jace handed her a headset. You said they wouldn't ask twice, he said. You were right. Virella stared at the screen. 3 ships. Armed, ready. She took a breath, then gave the order. Do not surrender. Inside her, something had changed. She wasn't a joke bride anymore. She wasn't even just a soldier. She was a mother, and she would fight like one. The Xanthari warship hovered just above the human vessel. Its weapons glowed hot, locked in place. One wrong move, and it could turn Jace's ship into dust. Inside the human control room, tension gripped every soldier. But Virella didn't flinch. She stood next to Jace, her hand resting gently on her stomach. This is no longer just your fight, Jace said. I know, she replied. It's ours. A transmission buzzed in. On the screen appeared a face Virella knew too well. Commander Cyrex, her former superior. Cold, proud, merciless. Virella, he said, voice sharp. You will return immediately. You carry valuable genetic material. The Empire demands it. Jace stepped forward. She's not going anywhere with you. Cyrex ignored him. His eyes stayed locked on Virella. You were sent as a gift. A joke. Nothing more. Do you think this human values you? Virella met his gaze. Yes. He values me more than the Empire ever did. Cyrex's expression tightened. You dishonor your bloodline. You carry a mistake. Virella's voice rose, steady and strong. No. I carry hope. Something this Empire has never understood. Cyrex's voice dropped. If you do not return within 1 hour, we will open fire, and we will take the child by force. The screen went dark. The threat was clear. Jace turned to her. What now? Virella didn't hesitate. We fight. Down in the ship's armory. Virella suited up, not in her old Xanthari armor. In human gear. Sleek, black, strong. When she stepped onto the deck, the crew looked at her in awe. She was no longer an outsider. She looked like one of them, like a warrior ready to protect her own. Jace joined her. Just like old times? He joked. She smirked. No. This time I'm choosing the fight. As the Xanthari ships began to circle for attack, Virella activated the shipwide comms. This is Virella of Xanthari blood. I was once loyal to the Empire, but they sent me as a joke. They didn't expect me to survive or choose my own path. I will not return. And if you come for my child, you will regret it. Then she cut the signal. Jace looked at her, pride in his eyes. You really mean it, don't you? I do, she said. For the first time, I choose me. The Xanthari warships charged weapons, and the battle began. Lasers flashed across space. The human ship dodged and fired. Virella led from the front, targeting weak points only a former Xanthari could know. Explosions lit up the void. One enemy ship, and then another, but the command ship remained. Cyrex sent a final message. This ends now. He launched a boarding pod. He was coming personally, and Virella was waiting. The boarding pod crashed into the docking bay with a loud metallic bang. Smoke hissed from the cracks as the doors slid open. Out stepped Commander Cyrex, tall, armored, and furious. 2 elite Xanthari guards followed close behind, weapons drawn. On the human side, crew members raised their rifles, but Jace lifted a hand. "Stand down," he ordered. She asked for this moment. Varela walked forward alone, her boots echoing on the metal floor. Her human body armor reflected the lights above. This time she didn't bow. She didn't flinch. She stood tall, with a child in her belly, and fire in her heart. "Varela," Cyrex said coldly, "you are coming with us. Now." "No," she answered simply. "You are Zenthari. You don't have a choice." "I do now." Cyrex stepped closer. "You carry unstable blood. The Council fears it. You will surrender the child for testing." "You mean removal," she cut in. He didn't deny it. Varela's fists clenched. "I was loyal. I obeyed every order. And you threw me away for a joke. You never expected me to come back alive, let alone—" "With purpose," Cyrex growled. "You are not thinking clearly. The human—" "Saved me," she interrupted again. "He treated me with more honor than my own people ever did." Jace stood nearby, silent, watching, but ready. Cyrex raised, his hand to signal the guards. But before they moved, Varela pulled a small weapon from her belt. It wasn't aimed at them. It was aimed at herself. "Take one more step," she warned, "and I make sure this child dies with me." Everyone froze. Even Jace's eyes widened. "Don't," he said softly. Varela's voice shook, but her hand was steady. "I won't be taken. I won't be used again. Not by you, not by the Empire. This child is mine." Cyrex looked into her eyes, and for the first time, he saw it. She wasn't a soldier anymore. She was a mother, and she would fight like one. Cyrex lowered his hand. "This is treason." "No," she said. "This is freedom." He turned, silent, and walked back into the pod. His guards followed, without a word. Moments later, the pod launched away from the ship. The Zenthari fled and retreated. Varela dropped the weapon and collapsed into Jace's arms. He held her close, his voice calm. "You did it." She nodded, tears falling. "I broke the chain." Later that night, she sat in the observation deck. Stars glowed outside the window. Her hand rested on her belly, and for the first time in her life, she smiled without fear. This wasn't what she was made for, but maybe it was what she was meant for. The battle was over. Varela had chosen her path. She stood against the Empire. She protected her unborn child, and now the galaxy was watching. News spread fast. Alien bride defies Empire for human mate. Hybrid child confirmed. Zenthari blood mixed with human DNA. Is this the beginning of galactic peace or a new war? Every major planet was talking about her. Some called her a traitor, some called her a hero, but no one could ignore her. Varela watched the reports in silence from the command deck. The baby was growing faster than expected. Human doctors said the child was strong, too strong for something unborn. Its DNA was adapting quickly, merging both species perfectly. She's going to be special, the medic said softly. She? Varela whispered, blinking. Yes, the medic smiled. It's a girl. Varela turned away, emotion hitting her like a wave. A daughter. She hadn't thought that far ahead. She had only thought of survival, but now, she thought of the future. Jace found her staring out at the stars again. You okay? He asked gently. I don't know, she said honestly. They're scared of her already, he said. They should be, she replied, because she won't belong to them or to me. She'll belong to herself. He smiled. You sound like a real mother. Varela looked at him, her face softening. And you sound like a real father. But not everyone was celebrating. In secret chambers across the galaxy, political leaders argued. She must be stopped, growled one alien ruler. That child is a threat. If humans and Zenthari can mix, what does it mean for our pure bloodlines? The same people who once laughed at the joke bride now feared her. Plans were whispered. Assassins were trained, and a bounty was placed not just on Varela, but on her unborn child. Varela felt it in her gut. Trouble was coming again. She stood before Jace and said, "We need to leave. Disappear. For now." He didn't argue. "I'll go wherever you go," he said. They packed quietly. No fancy ship, no escort, just two people running for something greater than themselves. As their ship left orbit, the human crew saluted, no longer seeing her as an alien, but as a warrior, as a mother, as one of them. The galaxy wasn't ready for what she carried, but she would protect her daughter, even if it meant hiding in the darkest corners of space. Because this child wasn't just life, she was hope. 3 months passed. Jace and Varela lived in hiding far from the central systems. They found shelter on a quiet moon called Arios 7, a place forgotten by war. The air was clean, the stars were bright, and Varela's belly had grown heavy with life. But peace never truly settled. Each night Jace checked the perimeter. Each morning Varela trained in silence, sharpening her blades, her reflexes, her will, because both of them knew the galaxy hadn't forgotten them. In the small cabin they had built, Jace cooked simple food while Varela rested nearby. Her hand stayed on her stomach most of the time. "She's strong," she whispered once. "How do you know?" Jace asked. "Because I can feel her thinking," Varela said. He laughed, thinking it was a joke, but her face was serious. "I'm not like humans," she added. "My kind. We hear things differently." She's already aware. Jace walked over and placed his hand on her stomach. "She's lucky," he said. "You're not just strong, you're becoming a legend." Then, one cold night, the pain began. Varela dropped to her knees, gasping. Jace rushed to her side, panic in his voice. "Is it time?" She nodded through clenched teeth. There were no doctors, no machines, just her, him, and the stars. The labor was long, painful. But Varela didn't cry, didn't scream. She gritted her teeth and roared like a warrior. And finally, a small, glowing baby girl was born. Her skin shimmered with a strange light, part golden, part green. Her eyes opened immediately, not blue, not red, but glowing white. Varela held her, breathless. The baby didn't cry. She stared, as if already watching the world. Jace knelt beside them. "Is she okay?" he asked. "She's more than okay," Varela whispered. "She's perfect." The next day, something strange happened. Jace stepped outside to check the power grid, but the moment he walked into the clearing, he froze. Birds had gathered, dozens, and behind them, wild animals from the forest stood in complete silence, watching. The house, not moving, not aggressive, just watching. He slowly backed away and went inside. "You need to see this," he said. Varela came to the window, holding the baby, and as she stepped into the sunlight, all the animals bowed their heads. Jace looked at Varela. "What is she?" Varela's voice was barely a whisper. "She's evolution." They didn't know it yet, but across the galaxy, strange reports were starting to appear. Faint signals, sensors disrupted, communications bending. Something was waking up, and it started with her. They named her Lyra, born of war, raised in hiding, watched by the stars. Lyra grew faster than normal. Within just a few weeks, she could hold her head up. Her eyes followed every movement, and her skin still shimmered like starlight. But more than that, she felt things. When Varela was sad, Lyra touched her face, and the pain faded. When Jace was injured while working, Lyra placed her tiny hand on the cut, and it closed before their eyes. "She's not just a child," Varela whispered one night. "She's a message." Jace nodded. "A message that says the future belongs to both our kinds, but far away not everyone welcomed that future. The Zenthari Empire sent a final command. Destroy the child. No more requests, no more warnings. They sent a full strike team, ships armed with cloaking systems, soldiers trained to kill quietly. No one would even know she was gone, but they didn't expect her. As the attack began on Area 7, alarms screamed across the valley. Jace grabbed weapons. Varela didn't wait. She strapped Lyra close to her chest, picked up her sword, and walked out into the open. The first soldier landed and froze. She didn't attack. She just stood there, her eyes calm. Lyra raised her small hand toward him. His armor flickered, then fell apart, bolt by bolt. The man collapsed, unconscious. One by one, the attackers landed, and one by one, they fell. Not to guns, not to violence, to her, Lyra. She wasn't killing them. She was stopping them, breaking their minds gently, turning rage into confusion, turning fear into peace. The final ship hovered above the house. Varela stared up at it, holding her daughter close. And for the first time, she didn't feel afraid. She felt ready. Lyra looked to the sky, and the ship powered down. No explosions, no blood, just silence and surrender. Back on the human council world, leaders watched the footage. Some wanted to weaponize her, some wanted to hide her forever, but others saw the truth. This child, half human, half Xanthari, had stopped a war without lifting a weapon. Weeks later, Varela stood in front of both councils, human and Xanthari. Jace stood beside her, and Lyra was in her arms. This is not a threat, Varela said clearly. She is a bridge between you, between us. The room was silent. Then someone stood, a human general. She's the future, he said. Then, one by one, others stood too, in agreement, not with fear, but with hope. Back on Area 7, Lyra ran through the fields, glowing, laughing, free. Jace and Varela watched her from the hill. You still think I was sent as a joke? Varela asked. Jace smiled. No, I think you were sent to change everything. She took his hand, and together they watched their daughter lead the dawn of a new era.